Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms. Greetings fellow Dungeon Delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons. My name is Justin, and I'm going to be your guide to bringing your favorite League of Legends champions to life in Dungeons and Dragons. Today we're building Zilean, the bane of every assassin champion. Zilean is an Acathian elemental mage who focused on the mastery of chronomagic. While he was out on a diplomatic mission, his fellow mages discovered how to tap into the power of the Void. Zilean immediately recognized this as a catastrophe waiting to happen and strongly warned them against it. Like a tale as old as time, the mage's lust for power spat in the faces of the potential consequences. The Void overwhelmed the mages and spread like a cancer, assimilating Acathia. Zilean rescued as many as he could, by corralling them into a tower and removing the tower from the time stream. Unfortunately, the people inside are trapped in a temporal anomaly, until Zilean discovers a way to return the tower safely. While outside the stream of time, Zilean saw the future of Runeterra and saw it completely destroyed by the Void. He now roams space and time searching for the answer on how to save the world from this fate. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to take a minute and thank our awesome patrons over on Patreon who support us every month. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on and the sand falling through the hourglass. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Variant Human. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. For our stat priorities, we're going to max intelligence and dump strength. We do have a multi-class requirement of 13 in intelligence, dexterity, and wisdom. Our leveling path is going to be levels 1 through 5 in wizard, then we'll take a timeout for 2 levels in fighter, then fast forward through 5 levels of cleric, and photo finish the build as a wizard. Zilean's passive, Time in a Bottle, will be the guidance spell. His Q, Time Bomb, is going to be Fireball, with Arcane Abeyance when it lands on an ally, or a delayed blast Fireball when landing on his enemies, with the stun coming from the Momentary Stasis feature. Our W, Rewind, comes from Action Surge. His E, Time Warp, will be Haste and Ray of Frost depending on who you're targeting, and finally we get our ultimate, Chrono Shift, from Revivify. For race, Variant Human is a perfect fit for Zilean's Magic-born heritage. We'll get a +1 to our intelligence and dexterity, and we'll make time really stretch out in the waiting room with a skill proficiency in perception. But what we're really here for is the Keen Mind feat, which will increase our intelligence by 1 and give us a couple of cool sub-features, like knowing which way is north, knowing how long till sunrise and sunset, and an eidetic memory that goes about a month back. The flavor here writes itself for Zilean, with all of these being things you could be searching through the time stream to find out or remember. For background, Zilean's studies of time make Sage an easy call here. Sages get skill proficiencies in history and nature, and the researcher feature. The researcher feature is going to play perfectly into the Keen Mind feat, letting you recall through the time stream where you might find a piece of information you don't already know. For stats, we're going to strike a balance between knowing the future and changing the future with the standard array. Roll if you want to, just keep at least a 13 in your intelligence, dexterity, and wisdom for multiclassing purposes. As a Sage Old Time Wizard, intelligence is definitely going to be our highest stat at a 15. Then we'll get some agility of mind and hand with dexterity. Wisdom is going to go hand in hand with studying time at a 13. We'll get a little bit of durability to endure the time stream with a 12 in constitution, which will also help with our concentration checks. Our charisma is going to be average, since we couldn't convince our peers not to delve into controlling the Void, and finally we'll dump strength. Alrighty, now let's get ready to knock their clocks off with some levels in Wizard. Wizard is going to give us skill proficiency with Insight and Investigation, 2 more things that peering into time would assist with. We'll get the ability to cast spells using spell slots, and to recover those spell slots in a pinch, we'll have Arcane Recovery. Once per day at the end of a short rest, you can recover spell slots equal to half your level in Wizard. We have a decent Wizard level investment in this build, so you'll definitely get some value out of this feature. The last thing to talk about this level is picking up our E on enemies with Ray of Frost. Ray of Frost is going to let you fire out a beam of temporal magic, dealing 1d8 cold damage and reducing the creature's movement speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. Second level wizards choose their Arcane Tradition, which is the school of magic they choose to focus in on and study. D&D Jesus Matt Mercer gave us the Chronergy Wizard to deal with timey-wimey shenanigans. From that, we'll get access to Chronergy spells and 2 other features this level. Temporal Awareness is going to let us utilize the time stream to improve our reaction time in combat by adding our intelligence modifier to our initiative rolls. We'll also get Chronal Shift, letting you use a reaction twice per long rest to force a creature to reroll any attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. At level 4 Wizard, we'll get our first ability score improvement of the build. As always, we'll go over all of your options here so you can pick and choose for yourself along the way. Right now, we have 2 odd ability scores that we care about, our Intelligence and Dexterity. So at Wizard 4, we'll bump each of those by 1 point to even them out and improve our modifier. Then at Cleric 4, Warcaster will give us advantage on our concentration checks, and let us use spells in our opportunity attacks instead of just flailing with our pathetic hands. After that, at Wizard 8, we'll start to more actively manipulate time with the Lucky Feat, allowing us 3 times per long rest to roll an additional d20 on any save, check, or attack. This also works on attack rolls made against us. And finally, at Wizard 12, we'll max our intelligence with 2 more points. Level 5 wizards learn 3rd level spells. We'll get an instant popping Q with Fireball, which forces all creatures in a 20-foot sphere to make a dex save or take 8d6 fire damage. Remember, flavor is key, so work with your DM to make it a clock bomb detonating. Then we'll get the allied version of our E with Haste. Haste lets you double a creature's speed, increase their AC by 2, give advantage on dex saves, and give them an additional special action on each of their turns. The downside to all of this is once the spell ends, they can't do anything on their next turn since they're zonked from time being woven around them. Now that we've gotten a strong base in temporal magic, we'll chrono shift over to Fighter to pick up our W. Level 1 Fighter doesn't give us much. The defense fighting style will give us a +1 to our AC as long as you're wearing some kind of armor. Second Wind is our other feature this level, letting us heal back 1d10 plus our fighter level as a bonus action once per rest. This is a nice little on-demand heal, and will save you from spending a hit die on a short rest, which you should only do if you haven't used this feature yet. You have been warned. Second level fighters get one of the best features in the game, Action Surge. Action Surge lets you push yourself to the limit once per rest, letting you take an additional action on your turn. This is going to be a perfect version of our W, letting you fire off 2 Qs in a turn for tons of damage. And now that we've got most of our kit, it's time for some levels in Cleric. There's not much we get for these levels in Cleric other than our ultimate at Cleric 5. We're going with the Arcana domain because that fits best with Zilean, but Knowledge is probably the better choice in terms of bang for your buck level-wise. Skipping forward in time to Cleric 5, we'll learn our ult with the 3rd level spell Revivify. Revivify is going to cost 300 gold worth of diamonds to restore a creature to life who died within the last minute. It's not a perfect recreation. Death Ward could also be used or taken in conjunction with this as well. Then we're back over to Wizard for the rest of the build. 6th level Chronogy Wizards get Momentary Stasis, giving us the stun on our Q. As an action, you force a creature to make a con save, incapacitating it if it fails until the end of your next turn or until it takes any damage. For AoE stuns, you can simply use Hold Person and upcast it to get multiple targets. 10th level Chronogy Wizards learn how to create Arcane Abeyances. This is going to let us give our allies our Time Bomb by condensing the magic of a Fireball spell into a mote as our action. They can then carry this bead as an action to use the bead to unleash the Time Bomb. The only downside to this is they are danger close for the explosion, so let's hope they make their dex saves. And then finally at Wizard 13, we'll get the best version of our Q on enemies with Delayed Blast Fireball. The main change with this spell over its non-delayed counterpart is you hold it with concentration until you want to release it, and when you do, it deals 12d6 fire damage instead of only 8d6. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. There's a lot of damage potential in this build, and in fun, interesting ways with a time spent on things. Also, without being a divination wizard, there's a lot you can do to affect the flow of time and use your knowledge of it. I mean, you have a +8 to your initiative almost off the bat, and that's something that'll improve your excitement throughout the entire campaign. Now the bad. The most obvious pain point in this build is the multiclassing requirements. Dropping Cleric and his ult might be one of the simplest changes you can make to really improve it, but we can't do that here obviously. Other than that, your main flaw is if you misread the time stream and someone does manage to get up to you, you're gonna die real quick. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, and you get access to our great Discord community. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.